helping you solve the retirement puzzle. Welcome to The Retirement Solution with John Hicks.
Warren Buffett, a man you may have heard of in the investing world. Once or
That
twice.
guy?
What about that guy?
Was he Jimmy Buffett's cousin?
That's what it is.
Down here in Warren Buffettville.
That's what it is.
No? Margaritas. Why am I thinking about margaritas already?
Because spring fever is real.
That's true.
I am in the full
that.
throes of it. Oh yeah,
Ooh,
when the sun
throes.
is the throes of it. When the sun is shining and it starts to tip over 80 degrees on a regular basis, and it's just like yes. Even at you wake up on a weekend morning. It's like it's 8:30. Why am I already thinking about margaritas? What does it say about me?
You like salt. You like salt.
No, it says I'm middle aged with a full time job.
Yes.
And,
that really does make margaritas sound more delicious. Even if you abstain from the alcohol part, still there's something very delicious about a margarita.
Very tasty.
I'm just saying. Anyway.
We're talking about the other Buffett that we all know.
Oh, yes.
That
Warren.
investor guy,
Warren.
Mr.
The old guy.
Billionaire
Yep.
Warren Buffett.
Yep.
He is offering some very simple stock advice, John. He says that when it comes to stocks, invest in the S&P 500 index fund, period.
Okay. All right.
He says this group of stocks has outperformed most professional money managers for more than a decade. And John, that's fine for investors. But we talk all the time on this show about how we are talking to folks in their 50s and their 60s thinking about retirement.
Absolutely.
And this is not a plan.
Not at all.
Not what the advice we're looking for.
Not yet, not even remotely.
No.
And when you think about this, there's a few things about Warren Buffett that I found to be truly amazing.
Okay.
So the greatest thing that I learned more recently, I was doing a little bit of research. I wanted to read one of those 900 different biographies about Warren Buffett.
He's got a colorful bio. Please continue.
Oh, he absolutely does.
I
No,
know.
it's amazing. But the thing of it is that at the time of the writing of the book that I was actually reading, and on any given day it's a little different, he was worth about $85 billion, okay? 85 billion with a B. Now, the crazy thing is $84.2 billion of that was accumulated after his 50th birthday.
Really?
So when you're out there and you're thinking, hey, it's too late for me to put money away. It's too late for me to get to the right spot. Warren Buffett basically created 96% of his wealth after his 50th birthday.
I love
But he
that
goes
story.
further.
Yeah.
He goes further because he didn't act 81 billion of the current 85 billion he's worth came after he was able to collect Social Security.
You're
after
kidding.
After he was 65 years of age. So when you think about that, and I really want us to understand this for a minute, it is never too late to make a good decision in how you want to accomplish your retirement. I don't care what age you are. I don't care if you're 19 or 93. If you decide that you want to do something differently, the only thing you need to do is have the motivation to get off your keister and look for the right way to go. And we may not have all that information in front of you. That's the whole point about why our firm exists. We want to be a resource to find out what can each and any of us do to put ourselves in a better position. Right. And it's interesting because, Heather, you were talking about, what constitutes a financial plan. Investing all of our money in the market might be great for growing it when we're young, but as far as a plan for us to live in retirement and not go broke, it's a fairly miserable and terrible plan. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe because Mr. Buffett is worth $85 billion, if he lost 50% of his life's worth, he'd still be worth $42 billion. So the dude he's fine. But it also means there's one thing to be considered a great investor. But the one thing I want to say about that is it's not because Warren Buffett is so unbelievably wise and witty and smart. It has to do less about how great his decisions were. It's more along the fact is that he had a very long time to not make dumb decisions. That's what it comes down to. It's not making the best decision. And guys, I see you all the time. I hear your questions all the time. So many people are just paralyzed that they're going to make a bad decision. Guys, it is so not a big deal to make a bad decision. You just don't want to keep making horrible decisions.
Right.
And that's what having a good financial plan is about. So if you really look at it, what Buffett was saying was, hey, there's a good way to make money, but retirement is about having that money now work for you. It's not about it growing as much. It's about it providing an income source so that you don't have to take a paycheck. It's when you can have a play check from what you saved your money to do. That's what it's about. So if you really think about a proper retirement plan, Yes, there is some level of safety and there is some level of growth. But more than any of that, there needs to be three major factors that I see most people lacking.
Okay.
Number one, they need a defined income plan. I don't care if you use preferred stocks. I don't care if you use dividend-paying stocks. I don't care if you use closed-end funds. I don't care if you have a call writing strategy on buys and sells for the individual equities you own. I don't care if you have an annuity. I don't care if you have a pension. I really and honestly don't care what you use. But you have to have a definitive and absolutely written out income strategy for your portfolio. Because that is the only way, guys, that you stay retired.
Got it.
Anyone can retire tomorrow. The only way to stay retired is if you got money coming in to pay for the LG&E bills.
Got it.
That's literally it.
Okay.
So number one, you have to have an income plan. Number two, you have to be tax efficient. The government is going to take more and more and more of what we've saved if we've been good savers. And by the way, if you haven't saved nothing, then there's nothing they can get from you. So you have nothing to worry about. You can't squeeze blood from a turnip. So because of that, they're only going after the people that gets it. Which, from what I can tell, from the majority of you that call in, you guys have been killing it. You've been putting away more money. You've been doing the right things. You've been good stewards of your finances. You've made proper financial decisions. You've been accumulating wealth. Yes, congratulations. Now, the question is, do you have everything else in place to make sure you hold on to it? Right? Mm-hmm. So we have to be tax efficient, because if we do not have a plan for the taxation of our money, guys, I'll guarantee you the government's got a plan for that. Is to part a fool from his money. Right. To not have a tax plan is foolish as it can get. So let's make sure we get one of those. And lastly, of these big three, you have to understand wealth transfer. The only reason, Heather, that we know names like Kennedy or Rockefeller or Buffett in this example, or people like that. The only way we even know about these people is because they did a good job over not one lifetime, but their entire lineage of passing money on. And the craziest thing about these folks is that the only reason we know them is because just like Warren Buffett, they started early in investing. Well, these folks, instead of starting early, they just passed it down efficiently to avoid taxation, to avoid government monopoly, to avoid people thieving their money. They had good wealth transfer techniques. We take that very seriously. One of the biggest portions that we're looking through in our firm right now is because I think they're going to keep changing the tax laws. Mm-hmm. So what we want to do is to avoid a lot of the legislative issues that come along with those tax laws. We have created 3 generational tax-free investment plans. That's a big deal. When you think that you can live potentially your life and avoid taxation, your kids can live their life and potentially avoid taxation, and even your grandkids can receive a slew of money if done correctly without taxes. Guys, doesn't that make sense? It does to me. So when you're thinking about what a real financial plan should actually accomplish, it's a lot more than just that Fidelity statement or that Schwab statement or that 401k statement. It really should be, number one, what is the amount of safety we need? Number two, what kind of growth can we consider? But number 3, 4, and 5 are the big ones. How do we produce income? How do we make it tax efficient? And once we're gone, how do we make sure it goes to the next generation so you can truly reap the reward of all of that harvesting you did your entire life by saving? But Heather, let me give you an example.
Okay.
Because this really hits home for me, even when I'm thinking about it in my mind. So we had a couple that came in a few months ago, and they were around 64 years old, thinking about hanging up around 65. And they'd done a good job saving. They'd saved about $1.4 million. Now, unfortunately, almost all of it was in their tax-deferred accounts. So their IRAs and 401ks. Now, it was great they saved all that money, but they realized that they were going to have a tax problem. Yep. Because after they spent the money that they needed in retirement, there was going to be a ton of money that was probably going to go to the next generation, and they were afraid that the government was going to tax the snot out of it. And so what we did is we created, that was one of the first people that we started using our 3 generational wealth transfer techniques on, where what we realized was that 64-year-old couple, we were able, of their $1.6 million, to really just set aside about $280,000 total that we were going to work on tax efficiency with, okay? So we're talking a small amount of their total portfolio, because that was the amount they thought, even if they used a ton extra money in retirement, even if they spent lavishly and took nice cruises and maybe even got a lake house, that left over $280,000, there's probably no chance that they would use it. Now, they still had access to it. They could still get it whenever they wanted, and if they wanted to pull it back out, it would be tax-free to them. but they just didn't figure they'd need it.
Okay.
Well, what we were able to do, Heather, is to derive a strategy that not only took that $280,000 and got it into tax-free accounts. Heather, it actually gave their daughter, their only daughter, who right now is about 38, it will give her about $2.1 million of tax-free income over the course of her life. But more than that, it could potentially lead to about $4 million going to their only current grandson. It could leave $4 million to the grandson without any taxation. So let me explain what we just did here. We took a great saver, $1.6 million, and we created a very small portion of their plan to not only generate $2 million of potential tax-free income for their child, but then also potentially leave $4 million of a tax-free gift to their grandkid. And the whole point of that is this is money they thought they would never need in the first place. Guys, that's the power of understanding how to harvest that nest egg that you work so hard for and to get it in the right spots for tax efficiency and wealth transfer. That can completely change the entire direction of a future generation.
Have questions for John? Drop us an email at retirementsolutionradio.com.
J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Integrity Financial Planning Inc. is licensed in your state, please call 502-690-5635. J. Hagan Capital Inc. is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through John Hicks, NPN number 2293473.